Hola, hola a todos, es tu prima favorita Bobby here, and welcome back to the Cousins Corner. If you are not new here, if you are new here, welcome to the Cousins Corner. I am tu prima favorita Bobby, and I just like to talk, and I am going to be running my mouth today about the same thing that everybody else is running their mouth about, which is $10,000, a dating coach, and a fiance. I will start by saying I myself am not new to Anwar White. I'm also not new to the situation. I haven't been on social media in a few weeks. I'm on a little hiatus right now, except for YouTube, obviously. But because I also follow him on Spotify, I heard of, I think her name is Sherry or Shirley, something like that. I heard her story and their conversation on his Spotify podcast, and just a little bit about, you know, how she came to find him, how her coaching happened with him, how she came to find, you know, go through dating, learn what she needs to learn, get her husband, and all of that stuff. So this story itself was not new to me. The 10K part or whatever was a little bit new. She might have mentioned that in Spotify, she might have not. But again, that's neither here nor there, to just know that this had already been on my radar. My thoughts toward this are going to be a little bit of mixed. I've seen a lot of discourse, a lot of opinions, a lot of people spewing things, and a lot of people being really, really rude and really, really mean. A lot of people not necessarily like understanding where she's coming from, and then a lot of people who are like, yeah, that's what she decided to do. I want to say that I stand somewhere in the middle, but I honestly just think, like, if that's what she wanted to put her money towards and that's what she thought was a good investment, I don't see anything wrong with that. I understand people's discourse of, oh, she did all that to get a man and decenter men and all of this stuff, but y'all have to understand that not everybody has that mindset, and you can't say whether she's going to be the exception to the rule or not be the exception to the rule. You don't know that. All you can do is just take the information that she gave. Maybe you say, I wouldn't do it, but kudos to her, and you move along with it. I don't think that it necessarily needs all of this discord behind it, even though I'm about to give my opinion as to contributing to the discourse. So here we go. My first thought about it is that it's her money and it's her investment. She talked about how she felt like she was investing in herself, that she had coaches for everything else, and this is somewhere where she needed guidance. So she decided to put that money where she thought that that would be an investment for her. And obviously it was because it got her what she wanted. It showed her how to date. It made her more comfortable. It made her learn more about herself, give a chance, and she got to where she wanted. Now, I know a lot of people are like, well, she could have at least waited till after she got married to really come on and talk about this, and I'm gonna tell my thoughts on that too. But at the same time, it's like, if she felt very passionate, she felt very excited, she wanted to share this, then that's on her. Another thing, as far as her seeing it as an investment for herself, is that she never said she used her last dime. And I think that there is a bit more conversation on this piece now than there was before, with people being like, okay, some people are really speaking from their own wallets, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing with saying what you would have done or what you wouldn't have done. She brought it to the internet, so everybody has the opportunity to speak on it, has a right to speak on it. Here I am speaking on it. But you can't think about someone else's financial decisions from your financial stance if y'all are not on the same level. And this is not a, you ain't got it like that. This is not that. I'm not bashing anybody. I'm not bashing her. That is not what this video is for or about. That is not where I stand. But I do realize a lot of people being like, 10K, like, for her, if that's chump change, if that's play money, who's to say that she doesn't give money to other charities? Who's to say that she doesn't invest it in other places? Who's to say that she doesn't put it in all of these different places, and this was just a place where she decided, okay, well, I still have this extra to play with. Let me go ahead and put it here in a place where I see an investment as. I look at it from that standpoint, and maybe that's why I sit on the side that I sit in is that if something is inherently going to enhance your life and you feel like that it's going to better your life, be that coaching, be that therapy, be that a vacation, be that an investment in whatever it is that you decide to invest that money in, I'm for that, as long as you're not hurting yourself or anybody else, or you know, whatever the case may be. But that's what she felt that her money was a good investment for. And it wasn't her last dime. It's not like she said, y'all, I used the last 10K to my name to put it here because this was my last effort or whatever. She never said that. My next thing, I kind of addressed this already, but not everybody is on a decentering man journey. There are still women out here who marriage is very important to them. Being a mother is very important to them. Establishing their own family is very important to them. And so they are willing to invest the time, the effort, and even the money that they feel like it takes to get to where they want to be. And if you are not a person who wants that or believes in that or stands on that, that's totally fine for you to not, but you can't shame or blame anybody else. I feel like there's two sides to the coin of this decentering men conversation. You have people who are very radical in the decentering of men, where it's like men don't matter and they shouldn't exist and we should just have a world full of women and everybody turn gay and you know, whatever the case may be. Like, I know that that's extreme, but there are some women who are that extreme. There are some people who are that extreme when they talk about decentering. And then you have what I like to think of as like a more logical side of decentering. Decenter anything that is outside of yourself. Yourself should be centered in your life, so much so that everything else is decentered, including men. And I think when you speak from that standpoint, who's to say that she has them centered just because she decided to invest in her dating life or in learning how to date properly? That's one thing from the Spotify interview. And I also got a chance to watch her do a sit down or chat with Jessie Woo as well. And they kind of talked about it. It's not just her getting somebody telling her how to talk to men and how to date. If you don't follow Anwar, if you don't listen to, you know, even his lives or his Spotify, then you probably wouldn't know. But his program, I'm not a part of it, but from the way he talks about it, it's more about building yourself up as a woman, building yourself as a person, centering yourself so that you can draw in the relationship or relationships that it is that you desire. And yes, it's to get your guy. Like that's the, I don't want to say the end all be all, but that's a goal of it. But the process that you take throughout it is not just about how do you appeal to men and how do you attract men and where do you find men. That's just an aspect of it. And I feel like a lot of people are being willfully ignorant to not recognize that yes, she has a therapist, but her coaching with him is not just let's talk about how to get a guy. It's talking about mother wounds. It's talking about father wounds. It's talking about, you know, being the good daughter in dating and how you show up in the world and how that affects how you show up in dating and every other aspect in your life. And these are things that I'm just telling y'all based off of what I've learned from him and from other people, of course, but from just listening to his podcast or listening to his lives or whatever the case may be. His programming is more about who you are as a person, centering yourself, and then attracting in what it is that you want after that. And I think a lot of people are jumping the gun of like 10K for a man, 10K for a fiance. And it's like she paid 10K to invest in herself, to grow herself as a woman so that she can be more successful in dating. Now, I understand that there's an argument there about, well, why would you go to a man to learn how to be a woman? Hey, to each his own, you know, whatever. Different messengers come in different forms. That's just the way that it is. But she made that investment. Maybe, yes, her goal was because she wanted to be married, because she wanted to be wifed, because she wanted to have successful relationships. But also she realized there's information here that I'm lacking, that I'm missing, that nobody has taught me. Nobody taught me how to stand on my own. Nobody taught me how to not be the good daughter for the rest of my life. And I bring up the good daughter because that's something that I struggled with for a while, perfectionism and being the good daughter even in dating, and how that translated and showed up for me in my romantic connections and how I had to break that down. But it's like, it's things like that he is helping his clients to maneuver. And if you really go listen, one, to the Spotify podcast where they talked about that, and then two, listen to the most recent live that he did where he brought her on, or go listen to the sit down that she did with Jessie Woo, you can really hear her talk about that. It's not just I paid 10K so I could learn how to date. It's I paid 10K to get coaching into how to basically transition, from this one place in my life where I didn't know nothing, I didn't know what I was doing, I had no idea where to start, to a place where I could have the connections that I wanted and that I desired. And I feel like that is something, it's something to be said about that. And a lot of people are just chopping it up to, she paid 10K so he could tell her to get on Hinge. And that's not what if you listen to her talk about it, that's not what that was. And I think that's the part for me of what made me want to speak on it and made me want to give my 2 cents, because I don't like when people don't actually listen to what is being said. You hear 10K, you hear dating coach, you hear fiance, and then you run to make your videos about that's desperate and all of that stuff. And on some levels you can still argue that, but it's like y'all are missing all of the information that she gave in between, that it wasn't just that. It's not just black and white. There's a whole program or a whole system designed for her to become her best self, and she had no idea where to start, and she decided to start there. My last point to where I stand on my opinion of this is that she talks about how, and Anwar says it too, the 10K wasn't all at once. She's worked with this man for several years. So I imagine that the 10K collectively all together was from her doing one form of programming to another form of programming, whatever the case may be. And she kind of goes into a bit of detail about that too on his most recent live, where he brings her on and they talk about it. It wasn't just she threw the money at him. It was, she's been working with him, I believe he said, from 2022. So that's at this point 3 years. And granted, yes, she has a fiance, but whatever it is that she's getting from the program is obviously something that she really likes. I know I'm kind of sounding like I'm doing like a plug for him. I swear I'm not. I promise that I'm not. I'm a person who has seen more of his content and has more of an understanding of what it is that he does than a lot of people who are commenting on those videos. So I'm just speaking from what I know or what I've seen. But whatever it is that she's benefiting from the program is what's keeping her there. She's still able to build connections. She's still able to build community. Like, apparently he has like different ways that they can reach him, communities that they build with her and other people within the program. So it's not just sit and talk to me and let me tell you how to talk to men, the way that people are making it sound. There's a whole system behind it, and I think that that's so cool if it's something that her or any other woman thinks that they need. I hate that people are ranking on her for feeling like that's something that she needed. I'm not gonna go too much on and on and on, but I will say that if it was me, here are some things that I might have done differently if I was in her shoes. Number one, I would have led with the basics, or with the basis of the coaching that I'm receiving. Like, I would have led with the fact that we're breaking down attachment wounds and mother wounds, and we go through how to heal these different things that I've been through, how my trauma is associated with the way that I date, and how to break that down and how to do this. Like, I would have led with that. If I was going to tell anybody on the internet that, yeah, I got a dating coach and I paid 10K, and overall collectively, I would have led with, this is what we went over. Not necessarily giving his program, out for free to everybody or whatever, but telling them like, these are things that we discussed. And then also I would have made it clear, I've been working with this man for several years, so this is why it comes out to be this much. Because when you get on the internet and it's going to be buzzword. It's always buzzwords, and that's what people are going to pick up on. People will not even watch the first minute of your video. They'll take your first sentence and start making their responses. They'll take your first sentence and start making their think pieces. So if you don't kind of curate the way that you hop on to tell your story or whatever the case may be prepared for a crap show, especially when money is involved, and especially when love and romance or men are involved. The second thing, that man would have never known. He would have never known. He would have never known. There would have been no way for him to find out. Like if I was in her shoes, my fiance wouldn't have no idea. Because I think for me personally, I would not have brought it to the internet. And if I did bring it to the internet, it would have been in a curated space. It would have been on a Patreon. It would have been in a private group chat. It would have been in your closest friends or whatever on one of the social media platforms. That man would have never known. He would have never had a clue that this is what I did, because one, I wouldn't have done it just to be with him, right? Again, it takes it back to it being a whole program of where you're exploring all these different things that also shape your dating life and teach you how to break down all these other things, heal from these other things, so that you could date successfully, so that you can have what it is that you want, right? Regardless of all that, he would have never known. I would have been like, oh, I don't know who they talking about. I have no idea what's going on. Pay 10K. Oh wow, good for her. He would have never known. He would have never known. The other thing, as I said before, like I wouldn't have led with the price. I probably wouldn't even have put a number on it. I would have just been like, yeah, I did different forms of the program or different levels of the program, and I've been doing it for over several years. So yeah, it's an investment that I made. I wouldn't have put a cap on it. Because once you put a number on it, once you put a dollar sign on it, here comes everybody telling you how to manage your wallet. Another thing I would have done, I would have waited until after the marriage. I would have waited some years until after the marriage, but at the very least until after the marriage. Because if that's the goal of like breaking all these things down, learning these things about yourself, building yourself back up, reparenting yourself, healing from past things, and then getting your guy to getting your husband to, you know, living your happily ever after, whatever the case may be, I would have let myself go through those steps first before I ever brought it to the internet to tell people, let me help you, to show you how to get there. Because then what you face at this point, and what she's kind of facing, is a lot of people being like, you just a fiance right now. And granted, like, if that, you know, that's part of her goal, so that's nothing to sneeze at, because that's an accomplishment for her, or what she views as an accomplishment, what a lot of women view as an accomplishment. But understandably so, it's like, you're not even in the marriage yet. So for me, just knowing how the internet operates and how people work and what people are going to say, not that you should necessarily care, you know, what people are going to say, but just know that they're going to say that, I'd at least wait it. So then it's like, I could tell you my story through it, or my story to it, and then I can tell you my story from where I am as a wife, as a mother, as a whatever the case may be. So I could really have some basis to stand on from going to point A to point B. And not that she doesn't, because she definitely does. She talks, especially in her Jessie Woo interview, about how much growing and healing that she's done just through the programming alone, outside of the get your guy and dating and whatever the case may be. So I would have either like waited till after the marriage, or I would have just not even put that part in there and just led with, y'all, let me tell you how I changed my mindset for all of the relationships in my life, including dating, and how that got me here to be fianced. So basically said the same thing, but just said it differently. And then the last thing, as I said before, I don't think I would have brought it to the internets, not publicly, not openly. Like, I don't even think, I said earlier, like I would have maybe a Patreon or maybe a private group. Like, no. Even when I think about it, it's like, I might have talked about receiving coaching to break down mother wounds and heal different types of traumas, and how that, you know, has turned my life around for the better. But I would not have brought the specifics of it, unless I was getting paid to market it or something like that, you know. But I don't think I would have brought the specifics of it, because the internet can be a really harsh place. And I do also want to say that I understand where other people are coming from as well. I understand how it can be seen as desperate. I understand how it can be seen as a waste of money. I understand that, but I also have an understanding for how her and probably other women out there in the world would see it as an investment. Now, me personally, I'm not really like, oh, I want to be a wife and a mother. Like, I'm enjoying my life. I am enjoying my life, and I do not want those expectations. Do not want those expectations. At least not right now. So would it be something that I would do? Not necessarily for that, not to be fianced or to get a husband or whatever the case may be. But I do understand people's thoughts around, you did all of that to get a man. But then that also, it just brings me back to my point of, y'all have to listen to what it is that she said. And I didn't watch her shorter videos, so I'm thinking that that's probably where people are picking up and doing their think pieces. Like I said, I heard the interview on the podcast that she did with Anwar, the interview that she did with Jesse Wu, the interview that she did when Anwar had her on his live earlier this week. So it's like, I'm hearing all of that stuff. I don't know how thorough she was in her videos, whether they were TikToks or whatever. Again, I have not been on social media for weeks at this point. But yeah, so I think that people, maybe she wasn't thorough in what she said, and so people just kind of took what she said and ran with it. But I'm like, that's why it's important to think about what you say before you bring it to the internet. And I understand, like, oh, I don't care what people think and da 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 da, but it's like, at the same time, you cannot care what people think, but you can still care how you say things or how things come across. And if you really want people to have that understanding of what it is that you're saying, what it is that you're getting at, what it is that you're telling them, especially if you're trying to market or help market or get other people on board, on the bandwagon, whatever the case may be, you want to really think about what it is that you're saying to people and how you're saying it, and understand that the internet, it has a lot of people on it. And not only that, it has a lot of people with very short attention spans who don't pay much attention to detail. That's why they're chronically online, because they're just looking for something or looking for things. And so it is important to be thorough in what it is that you say or how you say it, because then you get a crap show or a dumpster fire, and it's like, dang, I didn't even say that. But sometimes it's not what you said, but how you say it. Anyway, all in all, I say this to say, let that woman be. She made an investment in the place where she saw fit to make an investment. She had the money. She did what she wanted to do with the money. If you would have done something differently, or you would have never done, that's totally fine. And again, you have every right to share your opinion, but dumping on her just because she made a choice different than what some of us might have made is not the way to go. It doesn't do anything for anybody. That's all I have to say. Please drop your comments down in the comment section, because I would love to engage with you. I would love to hear what your view is. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Do you agree with her? Do you disagree? Please leave them down below. And then, of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And join me, tu prima favorita Bobby, who just loves to talk here in the Cousins Corner. Next time, I will see you then. Bye.